is it going? Welcome back to my channel, and yes, today I'll be in conversation with Miss Kanchana Banerjee. Now, she is a thriller writer, a topic which I really love and enjoy, thrillers. So today I'll be talking to her about her book, Nobody's Child, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation, what inspired her to write that book, her journey as a writer. So come, let us talk to her. Hi, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining, and really, it's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a great pleasure to meet new people, new friends, make new friends, and to talk about my book, which of course is my most favorite thing to do. Thank you so much for having me here.
Uh, Ma'am, you're most welcome. Ma'am, my first question is the book Nobody's Child inspired by a real crime story?
No, it's not inspired by a real crime story, but parts of it are inspired by true events, like the catastrophe that strikes the protagonist. Her name is Asavri. She's a young girl from a very small town in West Bengal, and something happens in her life which kind of makes her compels her to leave her family and come away to Bombay. Now I'm going to try and talk without giving away too much information about the book, because I want people to listen to the YouTube video, watch the video, and then also pick up the book. So the thing is, I mean, a very very long time back, this was in 2002, I had visited a doctor's chamber along with my son, who at that time was about 2 or 3 years old. I have a 22-year-old son. So at that time, he was just about 2 or 3 years old, and we had gone to this doctor's chamber. And as you would know, Natalia, that I have been, before becoming a fiction writer, I used to write for various newspapers, magazines, websites, etc. And I used to write on relationship, parenting, and many other topics. So going through different magazines and reading the agony aunt column and etc. used to give me interesting nuggets to write articles on. So in one such magazine, while waiting at the doctor's chamber, I read in an agony aunt column a small letter written by a girl from some small town or small city, saying that she confessed to having premarital sex to her newly married husband during her honeymoon, and that created a lot of rift between the newlyweds, and he did not want to be married anymore. He wanted to divorce her, and she said that I was just being honest with him, and my honesty has cost me in a very big way. So this kind of stayed with me, Natalia, and at that time I had used this letter to write a few articles for magazines like Savvy, New Woman, and Femina on the importance of honesty in a relationship, that how honest should you be. And this little letter written by this unknown girl in a magazine, which I don't remember what the magazine was, it stayed with me. And I knew that somewhere at the back of my mind that when I write a book someday, I will use this story. And that's what I did when I started writing my second book. This is my book, Nobody's Child. This is my second book. My first book was called Forgotten Affair. So when I started writing my second book, I decided to use this story. While this story or this letter or the contents of the letter forms a very small part of Nobody's Child, but this is the history behind Asavri Bhattacharya, who is the protagonist of Nobody's Child. She lives in a small town in West Bengal, and and when she confesses this little secret of hers to a newly married husband who's called Rudro, and then he kind of forsakes her and he leaves her, and that's how she comes to Bombay. She's a very good singer, and she decides to join a music competition like Indian Idol, and in the book the competition is called Indian Koel. And that's where during the contest she meets a lot of other people who have their own agendas, their own evil and devious plans, and how her path crosses with that of the others, and what happens to her. So you can say that that the book is inspired by that one letter, and there are some other characters like Kamini Pratap Singh, who's inspired by a real life figure that we've all read about in newspaper articles of a certain woman who is allegedly accused of killing her own daughter. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Ma'am, how many drafts you did for this book? And I read that you changed it from the first draft which you submitted to the publisher.
yeah, so what happened was that the first draft that I wrote, it was very different from what Nobody's Child is is currently, and which got published. It was a very ordinary relationship drama, and I think HarperCollins did not really like the story. And somewhere at the back of my mind, I think, Natalia, what happens is that when we write or when we create something, or even say for example, if we cook something, we know, at the back of our minds if it is good or bad, because we know how much of effort we have put into it. So while I had submitted the draft to HarperCollins, somewhere at the back of my mind, there was a niggling thought that this is not my best output. I can do better than that. So when the HarperCollins editorial team came back and said that, Kanchana, while we like the story, but we don't see much scope of this as a book. So I decided to kind of change the plot of the story completely, and keeping the bare skeleton of the story, I rewrote the entire story completely, and that's how Nobody's Child was born.
Ma'am, you have written for articles for magazines and newspapers and all. So why a thriller genre? Why not a literary fiction book or for children or something different? And why thriller?
Okay, so Natalia, I've always been very fascinated by the thriller genre. I enjoy watching thriller movies, thriller television series. In fact, currently I've just finished watching Homeland, the latest season. I like watching movies and series on espionage, terrorism, action, thriller. So I think I'm a thriller writer at heart. And if you read my first book, you will see that while Forgotten Affair is a relationship drama, but there are a lot of thrilling aspects in the story. And I think I was gradually moving towards the thriller genre. And so when I was asked to rewrite the entire story, I decided I'm going to make it into an outright thriller book.
Ma'am, this book, Nobody's Child, portrays the dark side of fame. Do you think fame has a dark side?
I think fame has a dark side, because what happens, Natalia, is that too much of success, it kind of, whether it is monetary success or it is success of the publicity kind, it kind of messes with the psychology of a person. And you don't you lose your bearings when someone is constantly telling you that you are the best, you are the greatest, you are the most pretty person or the most beautiful person. Human mind is very fragile, and human mind is very complicated. So when it is exposed too much to adulation, fame, success, praise, or even hatred on the other side, it can mess with your mind. So fame does have a very dark side, and it is a very interesting sphere of psychology to understand, because if you look at all the very, very successful people, somewhere along the way they've had issues of mental health, they've had issues of insecurity, they have issues of body image. So it kind of being constantly in the limelight, it is, I would say, detrimental to a person's psyche.
Ma'am, your book deals with rape culture and the modern life politics. Would you like to elucidate a bit more on this, and why these topics, and how do you see the future of these topics in India?
So Natalia, the thing is that while there is a very strong element of rape culture in the story, and I've inculcated that in the story, not because I wanted to convey a social message. I'm not a social writer, as in I'm not here to convey a message, a social message, or a political message through my books. I read for entertainment, and I write also for entertainment. So whatever you have read in the book, and whatever you will read ahead in future in the books that I write, you will see that that they are, components which have been incorporated into the book to make the plot interesting. So it's not that I thought that rape is a very trending topic, so I should include that in the story. No, that's not how I function. I wanted to make the story very engaging, very thrilling, and parts of it a little scary. I basically wanted to, write a at the edge of your seat thriller, that if you pick up the book and you start reading it, you will not be able to put it down. And that is my prime target as a thriller writer. I want to write stories that you can't put down, that you have to finish, and that you can't guess what's going to happen. And I want to bring in plot twists that you don't see coming. So for that, I put in different elements. And rape culture, unfortunately, I think we are living in a time when we are surrounded by these ugly things, ugly situations, ugly incidents that happen around us, of children getting assaulted by their family members, of women getting raped by men out of for revenge or for fun. These are extremely ugly, unfortunate events that are happening in the society. And as a creative person, when you're writing, when you're drawing, when you're painting, when you're doing anything creative, you cannot be removed from the society that you live in and the events that you see around yourself. So willy-nilly, some of it comes into your book, comes into the story, and finds a space there. And as to answer the last part of your question, that what do I think the future of these topics is, I think more and more creative people are going to write about this, are going to express through their art these horrifying realities that are happening. And somewhere, I think, by doing all this, the next generation and the generation after that is going to become more aware of taking a stand against them and preventing them, because I don't see this changing very soon. I mean, just kind of speaking out aloud that boys need to respect women is not going to change overnight. It's a very long process of education and counseling at home, in the schools, everywhere. So I think by writing and creating stories, art, etc., plays, theater, drama on these subjects, we are going to inform and educate the population around us, and hopefully it will change in the years to come.
Ma'am, I have another question regarding your book. Why is the story told in the first person from multiple point of views? Any particular reason you did it?
Again, just to make it interesting. So Natalia, the thing is, you need to understand that, as I keep saying in various interviews, that there are no more original stories left. All of them have been written either by Mr. Shakespeare, or by Mr. Bernard Shaw, or by Mr. Jeffrey Archer. So there are no original stories left, and what is left for writers like us to do is to rehash the original stories and tell them in an interesting way. So I mean, at the very bottom of the book, at the very very basic crux of the book, is just a story of a girl who's trying to get ahead in life, and make something out of her life, make an honest living, become a singer, and then what happens to her. So so I decided that why not tell the story in a very interesting manner, so that it is very gripping. So that is why the story of Asavri throughout the book is told in the voice of three characters, and none of them is Asavri, the protagonist. She speaks up only at the very end. She has one long chapter dedicated to herself, and that's when she speaks. Otherwise, it's these three characters who play a very important role in breaking her down, in devastating her life, in hurting her emotionally, physically, and in every other conceivable way. They tell her backstory and current story. So I just felt that this was a very interesting way of telling a story, and as I told you in the previous question, that my attempt always is to write a story in a manner which is very interesting, which is very engaging and different. That's all.
Ma'am, did you know the end of the story when you started writing it,
Yes,
when the
I
plot was
I
in your mind?
I
And
did.
are you one of those writers who maps everything down, or you just let your characters do what they want to do after some time?
So the thing is with this one, because I was writing it, so when I wrote the first draft, it was a very freewheeling kind of a writing. I just went along with the story, and but when I started to rewrite the story, in fact, completely rewrite it, I had and because as you correctly mentioned that the narrative structure is very complicated. There are three people speaking in past tense and present tense, and three point of views need to move together and converge at a particular point. So I needed a very very well chalked out map to guide me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to maneuver the story. So I had a very detailed structure laid out for Nobody's Child. But now that I'm writing my third book, I have a loose plot in mind, and I'm writing, and the story is unfolding as I'm going ahead.
Okay. Ma'am, how did your journey start as a writer? I read in one of your interviews, it was very interesting. You had pitched for the story in one of the sessions in Bangalore, and then you were picked up. What, can you share that journey?
Okay, so what happened was this was in 2014, and I had finished the first draft of my first book, and Bangalore Literature Festival is quite known, and in 2014 they started a new competition called Litmart, where they said, this is for unpublished authors, and they invited unpublished authors to send in a 300-word synopsis of the manuscript, and if they liked the synopsis, then 25 of them would be invited to go to Bangalore and participate in the festival and make a presentation to a panel of judges, and the panel consisted of literary agents and very senior editors from very reputed publishing houses. So I sent in my synopsis, and I got selected. I was among the 21 among the 25, and I went to Bangalore, and we had to make a 3-minute pitch. So obviously, Natalia, what happens is that this, on the basis of a 3-minute pitch, nobody is going to make you sign on the dotted line. But what happened is that the senior editor from HarperCollins and another senior editor from another publishing house, they liked my pitch, and they asked me directly to send them the entire manuscript. So this opened up two roads for me, which if I hadn't gone there and if I hadn't been able to impress them with my pitch and make the connection, this wouldn't have been possible. I would have had to go through the general submission, and that often, often it doesn't work out, because in through the general submission sometimes your manuscript gets lost, etc. But here I made a direct contact with two very senior editors from two different leading publishing houses. That really helped my cause. And in about 4-5 months' time, both these publishing houses made an offer. HarperCollins is one of them, and I obviously decided to go ahead with HarperCollins.
Okay, wonderful, ma'am. You are blessed.
Yeah, truly, I am. I am. I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky.
Ma'am, any tips you want to share with aspiring writers before we close the session today?
So I think the most important thing is to keep reading and to keep writing. Instead of thinking about writing, just do it. Very often I come across readers who aspire to be writers, and they tell me that I have a story in my mind and I want to write it, but I don't know how to start. Nobody can teach you how to start. You just start, and when you start, don't aim for perfection. You can perfect a story when it is written. See, unlike cooking, where once the dish is cooked, there's nothing much you can do about it. Writing a story is very different. Once you've written the story, you can perfect it, you can change it, you can edit it, you can delete portions. So, don't just keep talking about that I want to write, I have a story in my mind, someday I will write. That someday is today. And what you want to do today, do it right now. So just open your notebook, take your pen or open your laptop and just start typing away and just write what's in your mind. first write it out, and then you can, read a lot and write a lot. So these are my two most important tips for budding aspiring writers.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. And I'm sure your book is going to do well, and my viewers are going to, whosoever sees this interview is going to enjoy the session.
And everyone, please stay safe. These are very difficult times, so please stay safe and stay healthy. And thank you so much for having me on your show. So guys, we were in conversation with Ms. Kanchana Banerjee. Do check out the book, and don't forget to share your comments and views. I'll be waiting. And yes, do tune in my next show, which will be very soon. And don't forget to subscribe. And you must take care of your health, which is the most important thing. And keep smiling. You look beautiful when you smile. So take care. Bye.